Hey, it's Jeremiah. Did you know that 1 to 2% of the population has been diagnosed with bipolar? That's an estimated between 70 and 140 million people, and that's only diagnosed. There's underdiagnosed, not diagnosed, and unreported. Let's go. Hey, it's Jeremiah again. So that's a weird statistic to think of, that at least 70 to 140 million people on the planet has bipolar. It's a big number, 1 to 2% of the population, and that's what we know of diagnosed only, not undiagnosed and not mistreated. So anyway, my story about getting diagnosed with bipolar is a weird one. So as a kid, I always grew up to be slightly depressed, and I was very introverted. I was very quiet. At school, they said I was a dream to teach, but my focus was never fully on what was going on. I had what I call squirrels, and that's when you're looking at something and you totally blank out, and people are talking to you, and you hear nothing. And next minute I start looking around because I don't know what I'm doing. Kind of like not exactly a blackout, but I call them squirrels, that I'm just all over the friggin' place. Anyway, so I was not very concentrated. I did really, really well at school, but I wasn't very concentrated. I did better playing sports, which in long run, it changes your mind. It's fast, it's action, and that's good with people with bipolar. Like, I'm not great if you want to fly a plane with me, because I like turbulence. I like the bouncing around. I like the roughness. It makes me focus better. If it's totally smooth sailing, I get very distracted and my squirrels come to visit. Anyway, back to me. Yay. Take a break. Hey, sorry about that little gap. My squirrels came to visit and I really forgot what I was talking about with this video. Anyway, you saw squirrels in action. Anyway, I was diagnosed with bipolar around 20 years ago. I didn't know what bipolar was. In my head, it was two personalities, not highs or lows. I just thought you were like kind of schizophrenic. And instead of having multiple personalities, I thought you had two personalities. Anyway, so when somebody diagnoses you with that, and you have not done your homework, and you've come to your own conclusion without looking it up, it put me in a very, very depressive state. And so much so that I spiraled down to the ground, and I refused to take my bipolar medication. Because I was in denial of what bipolar was. I saw it with a stigma, and I'm guilty of not reaching out to find other information about what I should know. Anyway, I digress. So spiraling out of control, and I didn't know where I was going or what I was doing. So I decided one night that after I'd been out with a friend, that I was going to take some medication, but I was going to take a lot of medication. My mother just passed away, and I had nothing really left to live for in my eyes. So I just took a bunch of medications and a nice bottle of red wine, and I woke up the next day blind. Luckily, I woke up. I had many dreams and visions and different things you can say. Anyway, after that I woke up and I couldn't see, I was blind. But I knew where my front door was, and I knew I had to get help. And so I scrambled for the front door, and I cracked my head wide open and I was bleeding down my face. So I scrambled outside and called on a neighbor, and they ended up calling on the management company to the property I was living in. So anyway, they came, called an ambulance, and the ambulance came, with whirling lights and flashing sounds and everything else. And so they pulled in, they put me on a gurney, they took my medications, so they could work out from the date that they were prescribed to how many was left on the floor, that they could understand how much medication I took. And I don't know why I'm still sitting here, but thank God I am, and it's the best thing. I really realized that I like life and I've got a life to live, and there's still a lot more for me to do. Anyway, I digress one more time. So I got taken to the hospital and I was put into a bay while they decided what to do with me. Luckily, a friend who worked there came and visited me. Well, now I'm mortified, but at least I got that person to contact other friends, and they all rallied around, and I got the usual, I had no idea, I just thought you were sad, I just thought you were slightly depressed, I didn't realize how bad it was, why didn't you say something? And to one of my friends I said, I did tell you, I told you my life was out of control and I didn't know what to do. Anyway, guilt given and not really wanted. So I spent the night in the hospital with a guard watching me because I'm now classed as a danger to myself. So long story short, I got taken to a psychiatric hospital, and I'll tell you, the staff are not very nice to you when you're in one of them. And I'm glad they're not in one way, because I never want to go back. Where maybe if they were a little nicer, I don't know, maybe it encourages people, but let me tell you, they're not nice at all. When I was taken on a gurney, it's because I couldn't walk, and my brain was scrambled with my medications. So anyway, at the medical facility, they made me crawl on the floor to go see a psychiatrist. And long story short, they diagnosed me again with bipolar, and everything that I knew, they told me all over again, and they said they were going to keep me for 72 hours on the lockdown. Well, my head of when you're being on a 5150 in California is you'll never get out again. So I was more panicked because they gave me a pamphlet to say I have a right to appeal and I can get a lawyer. And when you read that, you kind of think you're stuck there for life. Anyway, luckily it wasn't that case, and I was kicked out after 48 hours because I knew the game. I knew I had to study and do what they needed me to do, otherwise I'm just not going to get out. So I came out, and one of my friends stayed with me for a week just to be sure, and part of my agreement to leave early was to see a psychiatrist and see a therapist within 48 hours of being released. So anyway, my journey story after that is I'm my psychiatrist's favorite patient. She said that, but I'm sure she says it to them all, because I take my medication routinely. Granted, it took about 5 or 6 goes till we got the cocktail that I'm on now. So there's some trial and error. It takes a while, and people need to understand that it's not going to happen overnight, this big massive change. You've got to be ready to try stuff that doesn't work for you, then you have to wean off it, then you have to try the next one. You try it, does it work for you? No, you wean off it, you try the next one. So I found a really good cocktail that works for me, which my cocktail probably wouldn't work for anybody else. Well, I'm sure somebody else, but not as a all-rounder of a cocktail. So as you can see, I'm not slumped over, I'm not groggy, I'm not delusional, I'm just pretty much me. And I recognize bipolar, and I'm okay with it. It doesn't define who I am, I define who I am. And so I like talking about bipolar because I want to get people's stigmas that I used to have and break them down, and then we can talk more about it openly, and then it'll become a normal conversation, and nobody will feel bad or sick or terrified that other people are going to talk crap about you. Anyway, so right now my medications is doing great, my therapist is doing great, my psychiatrist is doing great, I got a great partner, I got a great group of friends, everybody knows, my clients know, everybody knows. I'm not scared to hide it. If you want to talk to me about it, leave a comment or send me an email and we can talk. Besides that, I hope you have a great week, and I'm going to keep on playing these videos and hopefully you like them, and if you do a subscribe, bell ring and whatever you need to do. Alright everybody, thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you again soon.